and welcome. This video is how to draw a colourful sky landscape, simple one on Seesaw. You can actually use different art materials like paints to do this as well, works quite nicely. Or you can use felt pens, marker pens, and you can try to blend those, or even colour pencils. I'm going to show you on Seesaw so that you've got an idea of what you can do on Seesaw just for this activity if you don't have access to other materials at home. So I'm going to use my highlighter tool. I quite like using the highlighter tool because when you layer the highlighter over the top of each other, you can see it creates these sort of streaks. This is because it's designed to highlight text. It's designed so that you can actually see the text underneath, but it gives it quite a nice painterly effect. So I just selected the highlighter option, which you can see here, and I've got a range of different sizes of brush of nib that I could use. And I've gone for the large one because I've got quite a large tablet, but you might decide that you need to have a smaller nib so that you've got a bit more control over your work. It's not dissimilar to the activity that we did with the warm and the cool colours. You can see what I'm doing is I'm just sliding the colour down as I go through the colour bar, because luckily on Seesaw they've kind of already arranged the colours nicely for us. So I am going for quite a bright background, lots of pinks, lots of greens to come later on. In fact, I don't think I'll even make it that far. So I'm going to use some of the blues, and then I need to think about popping in the hills in a moment. See, am I going to get down as far as the greens? Just about. Very light colour here. Okay, so now what I want to do is go to the eraser tool, and for this I'm going to pick the largest nib of the eraser tool, and all I'm going to do is create two hills. So these are going to be snowy hills. Snowy hill number 1 right there. Make that a bit bigger. And snowy hill number 2 right here. So I'm just erasing that part there. And now you can see that would be really difficult for me to try to stop and create this perfect edge. So it's easier to just draw it all in and then erase it afterwards. And then next up, I'm going to use the marker tool. So this is going to create much darker, solid, opaque colour. Now you can see that I've chosen the thinner nib for this one here. I'm going to go with grey. And I'm going to edge my mountain, well, it's not really a mountain, my hill. And create an edge of grey. And then I'm going to work into that with a little bit of black. You could just do this black straight from the outset. I just like to put a little bit of grey in there because it gives it a little bit of tone. And then I'm going to draw my trees. I'm going to do my trees as silhouettes, I think. So my trees are going to be completely black because they would be if they were a silhouette. So for this, you want to try to create some branches. Don't forget, you can always have a little look on the internet at tree silhouettes. If you type in easy tree silhouettes, then you'll be able to see some examples on there. You don't have to remember exactly how I drew a tree. You can have a go at drawing your own tree. I'm not going to create a perfect edge at the bottom of the tree because trees are an organic structure, which means they're made by nature and they don't have perfect edges on them, which is the beauty of them as plants. I'm just going to add in a few more branches up at the top here. Don't forget that if you make a mistake, you can always press the back button, which is quite handy. Let's just make that edge of the tree a little bit more interesting. And then I'm going to pop a few more branches on. Remember, I'm showing you how to do this in Seesaw. This is for those of you who may not be able to access other colouring materials, or maybe you're short on time this week. but really you can use any materials. Always in art, for this online time, you can use any materials that you have access to at home and experiment and see what you can achieve with different materials. We're just going to add in a few branches here. Nearly finished our smaller tree that's over on the side of this hill over here. And that's pretty much our landscape done. Now the last thing that we could add, if you have space, you might not have room for this. So if you don't have room, please don't worry, is I'm going to put a fence in. So I'm going to draw a straight steady line all the way across my screen. I'm going to do that 3 times. And then I'm going to draw my fence posts in. Could actually space those out a little bit further. If you have room for this, you can have a go. Pop in your fence posts in. If you're not too keen on that, don't worry, you can always remove. It would be acceptable to upload it as it is. Once you're finished with your design, you just need to send it to me. Make sure you tag the visual arts folder. But here is how to create a really simple landscape, a snowy landscape on Seesaw. Good luck.